So, breaking news update for all of you Indian football fans out there, and I know there are a lot of you all because a lot of you do tend to flock to our channel to talk and discuss Indian football. Well, breaking news update for you guys, and it's a very good one. India are through to the finals of the SAFF Cup, and it was a pretty tense semi-final match in the end. As we'd updated you earlier, it ended nil-nil at the end of regulation time, and thereafter it went into extra time. And even after extra time, there was not enough to actually separate the two sides, although that wasn't for a lack of trying from either of the teams. India took more initiative, as was the case throughout the match. They had better possession, more shots on target, more passes completed. But Lebanon were pretty dangerous a lot of the times on the counter attack. They were able to kind of get on with those chances. They weren't able to convert. Neither were India. Sunil Chhetri had a somewhat quiet day in front of goal. He did miss a few chances. There were a few he probably would himself admit he could have done better. But thereafter it went into penalties, and India were as clinical as they could be in the penalty shootout. Because again, when it comes to a penalty shootout, there's two things which are key. One is having clarity when it comes to your execution. Two is ensuring if you pick one side, more often than not, you should be getting it right, regardless of whether or not the goalkeeper can dive. The Indian kickers, well, they were able to do all of that and then some. Now, what happened afterwards was that, there was a coin toss. India chose to go first in the penalty kicks. And again, that's again very unusual because normally a team would prefer actually, going second, because in that way, at least you know the equations. India went first. Sunil Chhetri stepped up again, a little bit unusual. You normally save your best penalty takers for third, fourth, maybe even sometimes fifth. But Chhetri stepped up, converted his kick, no problems. Then India were given a major morale boost by Hassan Matuk, who's of course the captain of Lebanon, stepping up. But his low effort to the left of Gurpreet Singh Sandhu was saved. Thereafter, it was all India because again, Anwar Ali stepped up, and again, full credit to Anwar Ali for stepping up. Again, a centre back, you would not, in fact, be expecting to step up to take the second penalty. Anwar Ali did so and converted it with consummate ease. Walid Shore then ensured that Lebanon were not eliminated from the game earlier on. He converted the second kick for them. The third kick was converted for India by Mahesh Singh. Again, a pretty comfortable penalty. He got it right. And thereafter, Sadek ended up converting for Lebanon, which meant that the score at that point was 3-2. Udanta Singh was the fourth penalty taker. He stepped up, converted. But the winning moment was when Bader ended up slamming the penalty over the bar. Now, of course, if you've at that point, the match says that India could not mathematically be pegged back, which means that the defending SAFF Cup champions are now through to the finals of the SAFF Cup, where they will, in all likelihood, of course, most likely be facing Kuwait, which would be a rematch of the group stage match, which was the only group stage match that India could not, in fact, end up winning. So the match, as it is, was probably one of those more turgid affairs that you'd see, truth be told. In fact, they will be facing Kuwait because Kuwait were the team that beat Bangladesh in the semi-final earlier today. So it's a rematch of India-Kuwait, and as I said, that was one match that India could not win in the group stage. Kuwait, probably the strongest team in this tournament besides India. Whether or not they can beat them, well, that's a story for another day right now. But if you're talking about this match, just a quick update for those of you who missed it. India were pretty good when it came to controlling the possession, when it came to getting their passes, chance creation. Same was the case with Lebanon. There was just one point where both teams were kind of faltering, and that was, of course, converting their chances. Neither side could actually get that all-important breakthrough goal, and therefore it went to extra time, went to penalties. But it is worth noting that in a match where India were playing against opposition that were more or less ranked the same as them on the FIFA rankings, Lebanon did give India a ton of respect because again, it looked like once it reached extra time, Lebanon were the team playing for penalties. You can remember that towards the end of the second half of extra time, they actually even made a few substitutions. They substituted their goalkeeper. They brought on a few attacking substitutes to ensure that they'd have enough attackers on the field to take penalties. None of that worked out in the end because their sub goalkeeper, who of course was brought on because the coach would have felt that he was a better option, but taking penalties. Well, he didn't end up saving a single penalty, whereas Lebanon ended up missing two penalties, and well, that's all she wrote for them. Good tournament for them overall, but I think they would also be a little bit disappointed with the way the shootout went. It was mostly one-way track from the moment the skipper missed the first penalty, and that, truth be told, can more often than not set the tone. Once you miss the first penalty, you're always playing catch-up, and that was exactly the case there was with Lebanon as well. So the breaking news update for those of you all who are just joining us: India have beaten Lebanon on a penalty shootout, and this means that of the 10 matches that India and Lebanon have played against each other now in international football, India have now won their third match, and incidentally the second match that India have won this year against Lebanon. They had recently only beaten Lebanon, in the final of the Intercontinental Cup. So this is a pretty big win, really, because again, before this, the only time that India had beaten Lebanon had been 46 years ago. So pretty good, really, if you're one of those people like me who enjoys mapping the progress that Indian football has made. I'll just quickly take a few of your comments. Gaurav Daga is asking, where's the broadcast? Broadcast is on Fancode and DD Sports if you want to, in fact, check out these matches. Janaki Raman is asking, how tough will Kuwait be? Janaki, they are probably the strongest side in the tournament barring India, so I think it's a fair battle when you're talking about the two toughest or strongest teams. And really, if you go back and watch the last match that they played, India and Kuwait really did cancel each other out. They were they did end up they did end up cancelling each other out. They made some good chances, couldn't, however, find that winning goal neither side. To answer your question, Gaurav, no, it's not free on Fancode. You would need a subscription. Janaki Raman is asking also once again that if India wins, will this help the team rise in the rankings? So I don't think it will help them rise as such, but if they win, now that they've won this match, they will at least pretty much ensure that they stay in the top 18 of the Asia rankings. So in that regard, that is actually advantageous for them, for the very simple reason that if they stay there, then they will be drawn in pot 1 and pot 2 rather of the AFC Asian Cup and the FIFA World Cup qualifiers. So what happens thereafter is that if they stay in pot 1, pot 2, they eventually end up avoiding some of the bigger teams. So they put themselves in with a better chance of not just qualifying for the next edition of the AFC Asian Cup, but potentially also the FIFA World Cup, because you remember, come 2026, there is going to be an extended FIFA World Cup. So you're going to be actually seeing more teams. It's going to go from a 32 nation team to a 48 nation tournament. So just in that regard, it is very important that India actually do well in not just the SAFF Championships, but also if they can continue to do well in the AFC Asian Cup. To answer your question, there is a chance of, let's say, where is it? Narasimha Kishore asking that where can we see the latest FIFA rankings? Narasimha Kishore, the rankings will not update after this. It updates once every month. If you want to check out the rankings, of course, you can check that out on the FIFA website. And to answer your other question, we are saying, what are their chances for the World Cup qualifications from Asia? It is better than what it was maybe 4 years back, for the very simple reason that Asia will be getting more slots come, for the next edition of the World Cup, because again, the 2026 World Cup, as I said, it goes from 32 teams to 48 teams. So you're going to have 16 additional teams, and even the number of slots from Asia are double. So if you're an Indian football fan, you need to hope that results stay good for at least the next match, because again, the rankings update monthly, and if India can maintain the ranking spot at which they're at now, which is 100, they will remain the 80th highest ranked team in Asia, which means they get drawn in pot 2 of the qualifiers, which means they avoid some of the bigger teams. If you go back to the last time around that India had to play the AFC Asian Cup and FIFA World Cup qualifiers, they were drawn alongside the same group as heavyweights like Oman and Qatar. Now what that did was it pretty much ensured that they had no chance of qualifying out of the group, because again, Oman and Qatar are teams that have much more success at both the Asian as well as, of course, even the World Cup level. You remember Qatar hosted the World Cup, but if India can stay in pot 2, it does give them a better chance to at least make it to round 2 of the qualifiers. Again, no guarantees whatsoever that they will be making it to the World Cup. That's still a slightly far-fetched dream, if I'm being honest with you all. Well, but if they can actually even make it to round 2, that will be an improvement from what it is that they have done previously. Gaurav Daga, thanks for the love, appreciate it. But for now, since a lot of you are joining us, we'll just give you a bit of a quick roundup of the match. India beat Lebanon on the penalty shootouts 4-2. It ended 0-0 after, it ended 0-0 after full time. And it is a big win for India, not only because, of course, Lebanon were a pretty equally ranked team, but India were without both Sandesh Jhingan as well as head coach Igor Stimac, because he too had picked up a red card. And Abhinav, I'm not quite sure he will be available. If I'm not wrong, it was a two-match ban because he'd gotten two red cards. So he will not, in fact, be available for the final. That too, I think India will have to play without him. But let's see. The final now is going to be India Kuwait in a few days' time. We'll be joining you live. We'll do plenty of build-up to that one as well. So you can stay tuned to Sports Today. But if you are, in fact, someone who's watching this video, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Don't forget to tap that bell icon. And if you enjoyed this video, like, share, and subscribe to the channel as well. Leave us a comment. We love hearing from you guys. And also, don't forget, download the SportsTech app. You'll get these news updates on the tips of your fingers. And also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Last but not least, please go on the channel if you're already there and check out some other videos that we've done. For now, though, from my side, it's good night and goodbye.